How can you make a message that speaks to them deeply enough to move them in the direction you want them to go gracefully? You don't want to arm wrestle the audience. You want them to naturally connect with you, and you want to guide them step by step in a way that is aligned with their own desires already.
Hello and welcome to the Driven Female Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Melitta Campbell, award-winning business coach, value whisperer, and founder of the Dream Clients Blueprint, your step-by-step guide to communicating your true value with confidence and attracting more of your perfect fit clients. To help you already start attracting more clients, you can access a free training I've put together for you by visiting melittacampbell.com/training. On this show, each week, I bring you practical, tried and tested techniques through my own experiences and those of other successful women in business. Our goal is to help you to dream bigger and confidently achieve more in your business and life without ever feeling fake or burning out. Now, it's November, International Men's Month, so in the next few episodes, I'll be speaking to some amazing men who will be sharing their perspective on attracting clients, building your dream business, and sharing your message with confidence. Today, my guest, Sylvain, Haché, will be sharing how you can become a confident and charismatic speaker and have presence each time you show up. Sly used to be a chronic stutterer, so everything he shares comes from his lived experience. And if you've been listening to the show for a while, you'll know that the first step in successful messaging and marketing is to get really clear on who your dream client is. And Sly will share with you a quick and easy way to define your niche that's also really fun. So there is a lot of value coming up. So let's dive in. So hi, Sly. It's great to have you with us on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me.
And I'm excited to speak with you about confidence, charisma, and presence. But before we get stuck into that, I'd love it if you could share your story with the audience and how you came to be where you are today.
Well, it's kind of a long story, but I love being the person that ties things together. It's one of the things that I do naturally. It comes to me. You could call me a general synthesizer. So if there's anything I've learned about myself is I always end up teaching what I've been doing. So I used to play tennis, became a tennis teacher, and then music teacher, and then marketing teacher, and then speaking, now training speakers. So if there's anything I can tell you about the future, I know there's a classic saying, it's hard to make predictions, especially about the future, but I might end up teaching, or I might end up, teaching how to coach and teaching how to teach eventually, maybe in my 70s or something like that. I have an article called The Final Doorway. So you want to be a doctor, you go study doctor stuff. You want to be a lawyer, you go study lawyery stuff. You want to be a car mechanic, you go study car mechanic. And then all of a sudden, maybe you're an employee and then you want to start your own business and you realize, oh, now I got to get visible. Oh, now I want to market my services. Well, now I got to make a pitch to investors. Well, that's public speaking right there for you. Now I got to you just buy this $20,000 coaching program. It's amazing. You got your avatar worksheet. You figured out who you're speaking to. You get your product. You got your whole set. You get your worksheets are nice. And then you got to go, you realize, you mean I have to go out there and do what the business coach did to get me as a client in the first place? I got to do Facebook Lives. I got to do LinkedIn Live, but I'm terrified about the camera. What do I do? That's where I come in. Or you got to go, okay, now you build a team. I know Melitta's been in business 15-ish, 20 years, right?
15 years, yeah.
Beautiful. Teams, standard operating procedures, systematization. But now you, watching this, you build a team. Now you have to speak to them to get them to buy into the vision and carry out the plans. Well, that's public speaking as well. So you realize, oh no, the business that I'm in has nothing to do with the business that I'm in. What do you mean? Well, the business is the business. The business is acquiring cash flow. The business is acquiring customers. When you start to think about stuff, so we'll go today into how to target and select your ideal clients, because this is the first step in creating what I call charismatic messages. If you don't know who you're speaking to, well, how can you make a message that speaks to them deeply enough to move them in the direction you want them to go gracefully? You don't want to arm wrestle the audience. You don't want to manipulate the audience. You don't want to jujitsu your way and knuckle you out of the audience. You want them to naturally connect with you, and you want to guide them step by step in a way that is aligned with their own desires already. So if you're trying to install and embed desires in an audience, good Lord, especially these days. I mean, maybe back in the 1800s, you could get away with a story, but nowadays, crowds are getting more intelligent by the day. Everybody's got a thumb on their little thingy there, their phone, they just flick off. So whatever you have to say, whatever you want them to buy, or whatever you want them to buy into, has to already match with their pre-existing self-fulfilling and self-fueled innate desires. And when you have that match, you have what we call effortless influence. So that's where I come in. And what's fun about the story, I'll just do like the 10-second story thing, is I used to be a chronic stutterer. Melitta. I couldn't even speak before. Can you imagine that? You know, these stutterers, like you see the stutterers like on TV or something, they like, I used to speak like that in French. So I'm speaking to you now pretty fluidly in English with a bit of a weird accent, but this is my second language, and I now teach and coach international keynote speakers. So the journey was from going from below being shy. So if you imagine like the present scale, rock stars, TV stars, and all that, okay? And then executive of the year presence, and then employee of the month presence, and then regular people, and then shy people. Shy people. The stutterer is below. The stutterer is not even on the scale. The stutterer is below it down here, praying to God, if only I could be shy. If only I could be like the regular people, just shy. So when you go from not even being able to speak, and then I had some sort of we could call it a miracle or something happened. One time I kind of got the rock star presence thing once for free, and then I lost it. So I could not have taught it because it was kind of just happenstance. And then I gained it back over 30 some years of suffering and sex, drugs, and rock and roll and international touring to get it back. Now, since I went through the steps consciously, now I can teach it. So when someone comes to me and says, I'm a regular person, shy, caved in, self-conscious, I don't know what to say, and I have to speak in front of 30 people next week or next month or whatever it is. The great thing about having suffered so much is that I'm not impressed by the severity of their problem. And I have the inner tools and the confidence to get them to that next level because I've traced the steps consciously and unconsciously. That helps.
Such an inspiring story. And I think, yeah, everyone out there who's thinking, yeah, but I'm too shy to do this, or came to this session with that kind of mindset, is being challenged now to think again, that it is possible. And I love that you highlighted as well, it wasn't something that just happened overnight, but now you've developed the system, you can help people shortcut that as well for their future, because it is so important. As you say, it's not just a case of standing up on stages and giving these amazing keynotes, but people don't buy or buy into anything they don't understand. And to understand it, you have to put words to that. That's how you have influence. And speaking those words is the best way to do that, because you can't fake who you are. So it is really important for every business owner to master this, whether they like it or not. But it sounds like, following your process, that they will actually like that. And it's something that's absolutely possible for everybody.
Yeah, you mentioned the word shortcut. I have my system is 45 days. It takes 45 days in 3 phases. And I got challenged once. I was on a summit, we're talking like this, and then I got an email from the host a few weeks after saying I was voted one of the top 5 speakers, but it wasn't a vote. She just decided, here are the top 5, whatever it was. So I sent the message saying, thanks. And then she said, you know your 45-day shortcut or system? Could you do it in 5? Now I'm secretly thinking I can do it in 3, but I say, I don't know, let me check. And let me check, because it's 3 phases, so 3 days, right? Because it's like, 20 minutes a day for 45 days. So I can do that in 3 days or 5 days. So I said, I don't know, let me check. So I send an email to my list and I say, I've been challenged. Let's see if we can do this. And I ran the process together because she wanted to do like real live events rather than, because mine is like an online system. She wanted to do it live. So I went and I created that system. And I told her, yes, I can do it. So we did the event. And then she invited me to speak. You know, these people that speak, these international memory contests,
Mm-hmm.
like they go on TV and they memorize like decks of cards and thousand numbers and stuff like that. So I got invited to speak. It's called the Super Learning System by a guy named Dominic O'Brien. He was teaching kids how to be memory masters. So I come in and I teach these kids. I say, now that you're memory masters, the people you will be speaking to are not. And the best way for people to remember what you just said is to tell them stories. Because if you don't tell them stories, they can't remember anything. It's just like you say it, they go, yeah, yeah, and then out. So to illustrate them that, I used one of the stories that was in one of the participants that was trying out my 45-day system in 3 days. Her name is Laura, and she teaches older men how to dress to attract younger ladies. She has a system for that, like a stylist. And we developed a thing called the money shot. So she shows up with melted chocolate in a plastic bag. It's like, yeah, look at that. You know, we're talking about Toblerone, right? In the pre-show. So imagine melted Toblerone. So there's like little chunks in there in a plastic bag. It's ugly, she says. That is the content of your character. This is who you are. We're not changing who you are. Then she shows chocolate beautifully wrapped in a little nice little wrapper. So inside this melted chocolate bag that's gross is the same values, principle, love, and affection and great person that you are. But the way it's presented is ugly. Now, when you present it like this, right? So the value of styling. So I teach a way I call them money shots, so people understand really, really fast. So they're all transferable. So now I'm speaking to kids because I was brought in there from a summit that I was using a money shot to help people have more confidence. She said, can you do that to kids? We went there. And I tell to the kids, what you have to say is this melted chocolate, Toblerone melted in a bag. It doesn't look good at all. But if you wrap your content in story, it's more appealing to the audience. Immediately, all the kids got it. But one of the kids says, I don't get how I can use story to influence people. I don't get how I can use stories to make them change their behavior. So we ran him through the system. Long story short, we had that kid in 17 minutes or 13 minutes telling stories about how he stopped peeing in his pants, even though it was practical and fast and easy, because he realized it had implications for his family and everybody else. It was a hassle for his mom to always change him, even though he was past the age of peeing in his pants. He used that story to help adults, old people, us, to stop putting plastic bags in the ocean, even though it's practical and fast and easy to use plastic bags rather than something else. In 17 minutes, the kid was using that. You get the principle and then you start using it. They were freaking out. So this is called money shots. It's a double distillation process of your message. You first ask yourself by saying, okay, what do I want the audience to do? Well, I want him to do this, 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 and that. Okay. To do this, 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 and that, what transformation do they need to have? Well, that. Okay. Then you go back and you scan your subconscious memories and your past. When did I have that transformation? Oh, well, in that case, that little kid, the time he stopped peeing in his pants. That was the transformation he had. And then you tell that story and you just link it to the subject at hand. So for the kid, or for you listening to this, when you do this properly, and by the way, there's a free training, and there's one of the bonus, it's called the Instant Charismatic Talk Generator. And when you look at that, you see me doing this live in front of an audience, and you get my notes. You can follow along and create your own charismatic talks for free for the rest of your life. By learning how to do this and by distilling the information. So you start with grapes that you make wine with. Now the wine is like, I don't know, 7 to 11% of alcohol. So it has some torque to it. Then you take wine, you distill it again, and you get a thing called the bouillie in French. Nobody drinks that. And when you distill that again, you get brandy. And then the brandy is so powerful that you need legally to dilute it to a percentage of alcohol that you can legally sell depending on some countries. So I teach people in my system, in my shortcut system, to have a message so powerful that they need to dilute it to give a chance to the audience. So you go from, oh my God, I'm afraid, I hope they like me, I hope I'm going to be good enough, to might take it easy on them. So that's the transformation in being prepared, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I love that you brought in storytelling there, because as you say, it makes that strong message understandable. They can connect with that, and we're all pre-programmed to understand and unravel stories, and
you're not trying.
Yeah.
You're not trying. So I work with TV hosts and international keynote speakers. So they're good. Like some of them is insanely good. Like there's one of my clients 2 weeks ago, I told her on a call, you've become so good that honesty and integrity for you is twice as important as for everybody else. You're too good now. You can actually use this for harm. It's insane. It's just too good now. So it's effortless. So unless you are a professionally trained international keynote speaker or TV host, and you're not that good yet, you can't rely on your storytelling gymnastics, and you can't rely on your magic anchoring processes and all that, and your open loops and all that. You just got to rely on telling the truth. So if there's ahead of time enough work being done on which stories you will tell and in which order, like I'm not right here, we're just having a discussion. I'm not doing the thing on you right now. I'm not doing the actual thing. But when you sit down and craft the order at which you will tell your stories in a specific way, and you go through that, good Lord, there's a sense of, I need to direct people in the right direction, because you need to filter out people. Because think about this, for business purposes, if you attract the wrong type of customers, your fulfillment breaks or you get refunds. And that's just bad. So you want your front-end communication to attract naturally the right type of people and repel everybody else. This is also a crucial part of the process.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have got a method for finding those perfect clients, those people that you do want to be attracting in, so that you can specifically speak to them and repel the others. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So imagine there's 1,000 speaker coaches, and 1,000 of them go there, and I could deliver my signature talk. I could speak in sound bites and all that. I don't do that, because as far as you're concerned, there's 1,000 speaker coaches. They're all the same. What I do is I just show up on stage and I ask the host, pick anyone at random from the audience and start a timer for 25 minutes. I take anyone and I create for them a custom charismatic talk they can deliver without no script, no memorization, based on the storytelling formulas that I taught the kids, for example. So one of the problems that I face there is that since I just pick anyone, sometimes they don't have a product, they don't have a service, they don't know who they're selling to, or employees that are wanting and dreaming about becoming an entrepreneur don't really know how to niche, or even beginner entrepreneurs. So I came up with a 3 circle. You only need 3 circles and two boxes. Simplest system in the world. The most important element of creating a great talk or a great message is knowing who you're speaking to. So if you're fuzzy about that, you can't land your ideas properly. You can't deep massage. You might be Swedish massaging your client's pain, but you can't deep massage the client's pain enough for them to go, oh yeah, that's the spot right there. So you don't want to wiggle around the thing. So I found that a lot of people who have not done paid advertisement don't know how much companies that sell lists know about people. Facebook knows more about you than your mom or yourself sometimes. It's insane. They know everything you click on. They know everything you slow down on with your thumb. They know all your history of everything you've clicked, and not just Facebook. Everything you've done on a computer is pretty much tagged to your name. So the reason people have a problem identifying who they want to speak to is because they don't know the difference between a comma and an X, as in multiplying. So they say, I work with coaches, comma, authors, comma, and speakers. They don't say, I work with authors multiplied by who are also X and who are also Y. So for people to nail that, I just had them picture a big circle. a stadium of 100,000 people. The number is irrelevant. A stadium of a large crowd. Which stadium would you froth at the mouth at the prospect of going there because it is filled with your ideal clients? The annual convention of fill in the blank. Now, I've had people like this realize, I never thought that I only work with women. It's so obvious. The first thing first is you don't think about who am I talking, who am I speaking to with your little worksheet. No. There's an event of 100,000 people filled with the football stadium of your ideal clients. Who's that? Well, it's let's say yoga people that are into yoga. And if you're selling yoga services, say, I don't know, you're selling something for yoga. Well, your ideal clients are yoga people. Easy. Step one. That's the big circle. Yeah?
Yep.
So now the difference between the comma and the multiplier. Inside that stadium, there's a small room, a VIP room that can only house 1 or 10% of that, like a smaller room. What conditions do these people need to meet to be in that room? So you're like, oh man, this is it. So I'm in the yoga convention, but in the yoga convention, I only want to speak to people that are strong and fit because the yoga community, there's jhana yoga, bhakti yoga, karma yoga, there's meditation, there's people that are there for different purposes. But the ones that are there for like the fitness type of people, it's a very different. So the fitness type of people, yoga is insulting to the meditators and vice versa type of stuff. You don't get yoga. All right. So for example, and I'm giving you the example of a guy who sells $15,000 coaching packages to show you how to do handstands. Melitta. If you go on YouTube and you type in handstand tutorial, there's 10,000 of them for free. This guy sells $15,000 coaching packages, teach people how to do handstands. So there's a crowd of 100,000 people filled with a room, okay? In these, if they're 85 years old and are into jhana yoga, which is knowledge and intelligence and meditation and all that, they don't care about handstands. So if they're in that room, the smaller room there's a small VIP room, young and fit. And about the sport aspects of that, the performance and flexibility. Okay, so now you have all these people. So that's and. You have to be this and that. And by the way, when you do paid ads, you can select a bunch of stuff as well. Inside of that young and fit yoga audience, there's another smaller room of a VIP room, only 100 people. 100 out of 100,000. But these have to be business owners. So yes, you can like yoga and you can be fit and into the performance things. But if you don't have a business, you'll never buy a $15,000 coaching program because the coaching program does not sell handstands. It sells, imagine how many clients you'll have banging at your door at your studio if you do handstands like this.
I love that technique. So simple, but really
so simple,
powerful. Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it was 7 minutes, 5 minutes. So people go to the ends of the world and try, oh, how do I do this? Just that, 3 circles, so simple. And I just made that up to help people who have that problem. And there was one person on my coaching program also that switched her niche. So she was like, I'm not quite sure. So we made that up on a call. And then if we have time, just the 2 lines, 2 things. One is to identify your passion and your zone of genius. And the other one is to weed out tire kickers and tourists. You don't want tire kickers and tourists in your programs. It's horrible for everyone. So the first one is you ask yourself, okay, so they're in the yoga thing, they're young and fit, and they have a business. Now, who or what criteria would they need to have if you would accept to work with them if you only get paid if they get the result? It's a thought exercise. So, wow, wait, so now you're not selling anymore. I mean, okay, well, I'm in that position. I mean, my one-on-one services are full. For me, the public speaking thing is step 1. Because if you can't speak with confidence on stage, on camera, and in meetings, you can't convert, your webinars don't work, and you can't sell. So for me, the public speaking thing is the first thing. Once you're good, then I offer a bunch of other services like marketing and blah, blah, blah. So I'm in the position of qualifying people. I don't sell. I'm like, okay, can you do this? Are you okay? Or you do that? How can I help you? Here's how I help you. And here's how it works. I'm not like, please, right? So you want to be in that position. So once they meet all those criteria, you say, okay, I would only work with these people if I get paid on results, because I get paid on results for my marketing stuff. So I don't mess around. Paid by percentage of the upside. And this is how, by the way, if you've seen my post, I say, first thing you do when you go from employee to entrepreneur is you take your yearly income and you make that your monthly income. The best way to do that is that way. You get so good that you can work on a percentage basis. The downside is there's a risk to you, but you can get paid a lot more if it works. So that's it. And then to find your passion and your zone of genius, you say, okay, who would I do it for free if I had to? Because you just might in the beginning. If it's the beginning of your stuff, you have to build a lot of stuff for free. You have to build credibility first. You got to get results. So who would I work for that I like so much doing that for free if I had to? How would I disqualify them if they do not meet my criteria that I only get paid if they get the result and if they're in a sweet spot? It takes you 15 minutes and a good brain cramp one time to get this, but because then you can start opening up the dialogue. Okay, what stories do I tell? Where do I speak? What do I say? And then you can go from there because you have a nice target.
Yeah. Brilliant. I really love that exercise, and it's so simple and makes it very straightforward. And most of us are visual thinkers. So I think that really helps with the process to have a visual to work with as well. So yeah, thanks for sharing that.
And this is for advertisement. Now, for anyone, this might be a little bit in the weeds for people, but if you've heard about something called iOS 14.5 update, you can't track people as like you used to in marketing. So one of the ways that it's popular now is they use AI for marketing. So you actually don't target at all. Because the more you target inside, if you're paying for ads, the more you target, the more you pay to have it shown. And the more you pay, the more, what you're actually doing is you're buying customers with ads. So when you remove the ad targeting, now we're at a state in marketing where the ad itself, what you say, does the targeting. Because when you upload a video, the AI scripts out the transcripts, knows what's being said, looks at all the words and understands what's going on. And it decides who it shows it to based on their behavior. So if you are clear internally, even if you're not good at the techie stuff and the pixel and the retargeting and all that fancy stuff, even if you don't do that, regular ads or some of the organic on some platform, like the short form platforms, can still give you reach. The more you're clear inside and the better you craft it with a relevant title, the further it can go by itself. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's always been important, but now even more so when everyone is online, everyone's a coach, you have to have your targeting really clear, your message really clear. And that's yet another reason, we're going back to old school marketing where the ad itself and the content has to do the hard work for you. So yeah, thanks for sharing that again.
Yeah.
So when it comes to confidence, charisma, and presence, is that where it starts, knowing your ideal client and really being specific and building everything for them? Or is there something else that we need as well?
Presence is let's put it in 3 steps. I call it baseline confidence. That has nothing to do with the audience. That's you with you, your secret dreams, secret thoughts. This is what you think when you wake up in the morning about yourself, about your products, and about your services. It has nothing to do with them. But this baseline confidence, if it's not there, any messaging you do is weak. It comes across as weak, fake, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So baseline confidence is the inner tricks. Number 1. If you don't have that, you ain't got nothing. Then you layer on top of that charisma, which is charismatic messaging. In our system, you're not allowed to touch. You're not allowed to touch a pen, Melitta. You're not allowed to start thinking about what you're going to be saying before you're confident. And we have systems for that. We call it unshying people, right? Coming from an ex-chronic stutterer, that's not shy now. So confidence and then charisma. And the charisma has to do with the messaging, who you're speaking to, what are their deep desires, what transformation do they need to have, what are you selling, what are the price points, and all that. We have a system for that. Just watch a free training. There's a free training called Unleash Introverted Confidence, Charisma, and Presence. And it walks you through case studies of how we create these talks. You can follow along, you get notes and demonstrations on how to use that. So that's the messaging part. Once you have confidence and your charismatic messaging is good enough and it holds its own weight, then you move on to presence and delivery. So why people suffer so much by reading LinkedIn articles or listicles of top 3 tips to be confident is because they speak about delivery, diction, hand posture, and stuff like that. Well, you can have the best diction in the world, but if your message has no punch to it, what are you going to do? So a bad song, level 2, sung by a great singer is still a bad song. So for the same reason that we do not touch the message before the confidence of the messenger is solid, we do not touch the delivery of a message, presence, until the message itself is solid.
Yeah.
It needs to layer on top of that. Great speakers are said to have gravitas, which comes from the Latin word gravitatem, which means weight, heaviness, or pressure. So if we know in advance that the messenger, step 1, does not have what it takes to handle the weight of a message, there's no use working on the message at all. We start with the messenger. And that's where the system comes from. That's why we start with confidence, phase 1, messaging and charisma, phase 2. And once that's solid, delivery. So all the tricks about the rock star presence and the anchoring on stage and everything that has to do with not the message. So if we would put it on 3 steps, we have 3 stories you need to master to make people feel like doing the thing you want them to. So your conversions go up, your sales go up, and your buying go up. We call it level 1 story is your secret story. When you're walking by yourself or taking a bath, or when you think about, before you flick on the camera, what's your internal dialogue before you start? So is it like, oh my God, I hope they like me? Or is it, let me take it easy on them. This is a bit too powerful. These are the 2 extremes, right? So level 1 story is you plus all your story and the traumas and all the stuff in the background. Level 2 story is the story you tell, including your suit. Now, does your suit matches with the slide and all that, right? Everything that the audience sees. Level 2 story is the pitch, the message itself, the room, the venue, where they are, the messaging as a whole, what is being said and what they see, hear, and feel at the level of the audience. So level 2 story is the intersection of level 1 and 3, because 3 is the story that the audience is telling themselves in their own mind about your level 2 story. And the only way you can affect level 3 story in the audience's mind is with your level 2 story, which is what you're saying and how you're saying and where it is presented and what's the framing and the positioning. And the only way you can affect that is by affecting your level 1 story, which is what you secretly believe about yourself. And this is where true confidence comes from.
Oh, I love that on so many levels. And I guess that confidence, charisma, and presence and the 3 stories kind of aligned there as well, didn't they? And just introducing yourself at a networking event, how so many people without that confidence in themselves and their message just say, oh, I just do this little thing and that's it. They don't get any further in that client relationship because the client doesn't see them as someone that has something of quality to share. So what you're saying there really ties into that. Yeah, so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And you've got that free training on your website that you've already introduced a little bit. That's going to help people start to understand this on a deeper level. Is that right?
Yeah. So they go to nextlevelpublicspeaking.com. And then you click on watch a free training. It's going to take you to the training. And then I got to tell people, the training in itself is great. I've got people say, this is great. They want to share it with friends and then they book a call and they want to speak with me, blah, blah, blah. And this all fine and dandy. It's great. That's the purpose of the training, right? It teaches, it educates, and it pre-frames. And people say, well, this is different. Let me give it a try. All fine and dandy. Whether you do that or not, because you watched the training, my system will have put you in an email list. And in every email that I send, you'll have footers in the bottom of the emails. If you do nothing but unsubscribe from the first email, go to the footer of these, and you have a thing called a 1-step public speaking confidence checklist. Use that. You have a thing called the instant charismatic talk generator. Use that. And 3 imposter syndrome crushers. Use that. It might benefit you. So just go to nextlevelpublicspeaking.com and check out the free training. We'll take it from there.
Brilliant. Thank you. And we'll put that link underneath the video as well, so people can just click through. It's like you've shared so much, and I love the visual way that you've represented everything. It really helps things to stick. Before we wrap up, is there anything that you feel we've missed that people really need to know in order to take that next step and start feeling more confident on camera and out there sharing their message?
It won't happen by itself. You need help, probably. I mean, if you've done everything you can so far, and this is the best you've got, if you've really done everything you can, there is help out there. It's possible to get better. And the main thing is that people get stuck at the identity level. I'm not good at this. I'm not a speaker. Everything that's tied with you need tools that can help you make changes at the identity level, because that, speaking to our level 1 story, that is the deepest layer of your level 1 story that affects everything else downstream. So there is help. And it could be me or anybody else, but there is help. If you want to get better at this, it won't on its own. It's either dedicated effort, dedicated support, or miracles, which can happen, but it won't get better on its own just like that.
Yeah, brilliant. Sly, thank you so much. And if people have resonated with what you've said today and they want to learn more about you, is that the best place for them to go, your website, or is there somewhere else that they can connect with you?
Nextlevelpublicspeaking.com is the best place.
Brilliant. Sly, thank you so much.
Thank you, Melitta. See you next time.
Thank you for joining us today. I hope you took as much value away as I did. Let me know what your biggest takeaways have been in the comments, or by coming and sharing those in the Dream Clients Club on School, our free community. If you enjoyed the show, then be sure to leave a review and share this podcast with your network and business besties so they can grow alongside you. There are a lot more tools, tips, and insights coming up for you in the next episode, so don't miss next week's podcast. Or better still, subscribe now so you never miss your weekly dose of inspiration. I'm Melitta Campbell, your business coach and value whisperer, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.